there is a kind of strength that most people have never touched. Not the strength of muscles, nor the power to force others to obey. It is a silent strength, where the mind stops being stirred by the noise of the outside world and begins to create its own rhythm. Most people live like puppets, pulled by the strings of words, attitudes, and external changes. Yet, few realize this. The way out of that whirlwind does not lie in controlling others, but in learning how to master your own inner current of energy. If there were a way for no one and nothing to be able to affect you, would you dare to learn it? When you understand and apply the principles Carl Jung, the great psychologist, emphasized, you will no longer be swept away by every wave from outside. You become the one at the helm, quietly observing, consciously choosing, and moving along your own trajectory, even when the world around you is in chaos. In today's video, we will explore 5 secrets to make you nearly emotionally untouchable. Not swept into the storm of others' moods, not shaken by looks or words, and not trapped in the unconscious games that most people remain stuck in. And if you are truly serious about escaping this emotional spiral, so that no one and nothing can hold sway over you, watch until the end and leave a comment. I want to discover the secret to begin your journey today. Secret 1. Distinguish reacting from responding. Have you ever wondered why a passing remark, a fleeting glance, or even a seemingly harmless action from someone can stir anger, anxiety, or restlessness in you for an entire day? It's not because you are weak. It's because most of us live in reaction mode, not response mode. These two may sound similar, but they are worlds apart. One keeps you in a passive state, constantly firefighting. The other opens a proactive state, where you observe, choose, and conserve energy for what truly deserves it. There is a paradox almost all of us have experienced, yet rarely stop to face. Most of the anger, frustration, and emotional explosions we think others caused don't come from them, but from our loss of self, mastery in that moment. We are like a compass needle gone astray, spinning wildly at every strange magnetic field, unaware that our axis has shifted. A single careless remark, an unfamiliar glance, an unanswered text can turn a bright, sunny day into gloom, throwing our minds into turmoil. What we lose first isn't peace, but the inner core, the central axis that holds our inner strength together. Carl Jung once described the human psyche as a constantly moving energy system. Every thought, emotion, and decision either nourishes or drains this energy. And every time we react impulsively, from a sharp retort, a resentful message, to a rash action, we open a leak for that energy to drain. It doesn't manifest like a physical wound, but quietly siphons off the fuel that powers our creativity, focus, and even our capacity to love. Many believe venting anger brings relief, but in truth, each time we do, we burn away our life force, using it up on things that never truly define us. If this habit repeats, you'll come to a hard truth. Your life is no longer steered by you. You're just a puppet, pulled by every sound outside, cut off from yourself. If the compass image feels too abstract, picture yourself as a performer on stage. The audience is packed, and somewhere in the crowd, someone whistles in disapproval. If, each time you hear it, you stop singing, leave the stage, and storm down to confront them, the show will never finish. Each time you react like that, you step out of your role, lose your creative flow. Your life is left incomplete. The danger is not the whistle, but your act of abandoning the stage. Jung believed the key to regaining mastery lies in something seemingly small, yet as powerful as a fortress: the pause between emotion and action. This pause is not suppression. It is a conscious moment where you take a deep breath, feel the wave of emotion without letting it engulf you, and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Does it truly matter to the path I'm on? The answer often opens a completely new perspective. You realize that most things unsettling you aren't worth paying for with your energy and peace. In those moments, you learn to hold your ground, like a warrior atop a mountain or a performer on stage, observing all, yet never leaving your center. Of course, it's easier said than done. In daily life, stones and whistles are constant. A pressure-filled email from your boss can keep you tossing and turning all night. A distant text from a lover can spiral into endless speculation, where you dissect every word and period for proof of abandonment. A nasty comment online can pull you into a draining keyboard battle. These are the subtle traps of modern life, draining your energy without any grand catastrophe. But there's an exercise Jung and many therapists often suggest, deceptively simple yet incredibly effective. Count to 5 before you do anything. Just 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds are like the space where the storm begins to dissipate, where the heat starts to cool. In that space, you stop being swept away, and something remarkable happens. That harsh email suddenly reveals its true nature. It's only reflecting your boss's stress and fear, not your worth. That cold text turns out to be just a temporary mood, not the collapse of the relationship. And that cruel comment, simply the echo of someone trying to discharge their own inner turmoil. Carl Jung once said, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order." And in the moment you pause, observing the emotional storm without being swept away, you begin to see that secret order, where the mind finds its center again. You don't deny emotions, nor let them control you. You stand still, responding from a quieter place, not out of numbness, but because you've learned to connect with your inner strength. I once spoke with a middle-aged man during a therapy session. He said that whenever his teenage son talked back, he would explode. The house instantly turned into a battlefield, shouting, doors slamming, eyes blazing with anger. But when he learned to pause, just a few seconds of breathing, feeling the surge before speaking, he gradually discovered another truth. What triggered his explosion wasn't his son, but the painful memory of his own strict father, who used to impose every opinion on him. For the first time, instead of yelling, "Shut up! Don't talk back!" he looked at his son and asked, "What do you think about this?" That conversation didn't end with a slammed door, but with mutual listening. And most importantly, it wasn't the son who changed, but the father, who learned to hold his energy and choose to respond, who transformed. Gradually, as you practice this, you'll notice an almost magical shift. Things that once unbalanced you, a word, a glance, a sudden event, now feel like waves crashing far off. You still hear them, battling the selfishness they cannot admit. A person obsessed with criticizing others' looks is often haunted by their own body. And someone who constantly belittles your success may simply be running from their gnawing fear of failure. When we don't understand this mechanism, every attack feels like a dagger to the heart. We react, defend, or launch into a desperate quest to prove our worth, and again, we are drained. But when we learn to ask, what does this say about their inner world, more than about me? Instantly, the hook pulling us into the emotional spiral falls away. This is an exercise you can practice immediately. Whenever criticism, judgment, or even overly lavish praise comes your way, pause and ask, what does this reveal about their inner world? About what they fear, desire, or hide? Simply by asking, your mind withdraws from the battlefield, shifting from reaction to observation. You are no longer a helpless target for emotional arrows. You become the one standing apart, clearly seeing who is shooting and why. In that moment, you preserve your energy instead of letting it dissipate in meaningless conflicts. Projection is everywhere in our lives. At work, a colleague snaps, "You only ever think of yourself." If you hear it through ego, you'll feel anger or confusion. But look deeper, and you might see that colleague was just scolded by the boss, feels abandoned and unacknowledged, and is unconsciously pushing that feeling onto you. At home, a strict father may yell not because his child is wrong, but because he is battling his own sense of failure and helplessness. In love, blind jealousy rarely stems from a single act. It is often the resurfacing of old abandonment wounds, desperately trying to protect themselves. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is true not only for you, but for everyone around you. When they haven't seen their unconscious parts, they will continue to project them outward, and if you aren't aware, you'll become the stage for their script. A viewer once wrote to the channel, sharing that she was a young designer, passionate about her work, yet constantly humiliated in front of colleagues by an older manager. He often said, "Your ideas are childish. You don't understand this industry at all." At first, she believed his words, felt worthless, and nearly quit the profession. But after working with a Jungian therapist, she realized that the manager himself had once been removed from a major project for being too outdated, carrying that shame as an unhealed scar. Instead of facing it, he projected it onto the younger generation, so he wouldn't have to feel his shame again. When she understood this, she no longer collapsed under his attacks. She simply replied calmly, "I'll consider and adjust. Thank you for the feedback." That composure not only preserved her energy, but also slowly shifted the dynamic between them. Projection also plays out in subtler moments. A friend turns distant because you succeed. A stranger online insults you simply for voicing your thoughts. Or a relative keeps dredging up old mistakes even though you've changed. Most of those arrows aren't truly aimed at you. They are echoes of the unconscious they aren't ready to face. Understanding projection doesn't mean you must endure everything. On the contrary, it gives you the power to set boundaries without resentment. You don't need to rage to protect yourself, nor swallow your voice in bitterness. You simply state, clearly and steadily, "I understand you're stressed, but I don't accept this behavior." When you say it, you neither tremble nor shout. You stand firm in your center, because you know those arrows never truly pierce your heart. They're just flying along the trajectory of the person who released them. And when you realize this, you feel a rare kind of freedom. No one can easily manipulate someone who understands that most things directed at them aren't really about them. What about you? Have you ever realized that a word or action that once hurt you was simply a mirror reflecting someone else's pain? If you've had that moment, share it below. Perhaps your story will help someone realize that when we understand this mechanism, we are no longer puppets to others' words and emotions, and emotional freedom begins there. Once you see that much criticism and attack don't reflect the truth about you, a new question arises. So where, ultimately, does your worth and identity lie? That is when it becomes necessary to build a stable self, the process Jung called individuation. Secret 3. Develop an untouchable self. Most of us grow up with an unspoken belief that our worth lies in the eyes of others. From childhood, we learn to seek our parents' nods, our teachers' praise, our friends' approval, and we begin to believe, only when someone applauds us are we enough. But Carl Jung said that this psychological foundation, built on applause and external gazes, is exactly what makes us fragile amid life's storms. All it takes is for someone to withdraw their approval, for a relationship to end, or unexpected criticism to land, and our sense of safety and self-worth collapses, as if the whole world fell apart because of one remark. Jung called the process of escaping this dependency individuation a journey not to become the perfect version others expect, but to return to yourself. It's when you begin to recognize, I don't need everyone to love me. I am not the expectations others pin onto me. I am a whole being. Mending the cracks, strengthening your container so you can fill it yourself with self-acceptance and self-love. External water then becomes just an addition, no longer the only thing keeping you alive. When you no longer rely on outside streams, you begin to stand on your own strength. That is the core of individuation, a self no longer dependent, no longer easily swayed by life's storms. It doesn't turn you into a cold fortress, but like a lighthouse standing firm, able to sway in the winds, but its light shines on, whether anyone is watching or not. So, how do you build such a solid self? Jung believed it doesn't come from denying the need for love or recognition. Humans all need connection, but instead of letting these define us, we learn to turn inward, to self-acknowledge, self-understand, and nurture a sense of fullness from within. One simple practice Jungian therapists often suggest: each morning, stand in front of a mirror and repeat 3 truths about yourself that do not depend on others' opinions. For example, I am capable of learning and growing. I care for and am kind to those I love. I deserve to live as my true self. These aren't empty affirmations, but a way to rebuild your foundation. A foundation that doesn't tremble every time someone praises or criticizes you. And you'll notice something interesting. When your self no longer relies on recognition, you don't become lonely. On the contrary, you connect more deeply. Because when you don't need someone to fill your inner void, you meet them not from fear or lack, but from a genuine desire to share. You can be in a relationship without losing yourself, work wholeheartedly without collapsing from one criticism, and be present on social media without being swept up by numbers and comments. I remember a young musician who nearly gave up music after his first performance drew a wave of hateful online comments. It felt like my whole dream was buried just because a few people didn't like it, he said. But after working with a mentor, he learned to separate his identity from others' reactions. He began reminding himself daily, I love music, and music is how I live authentically, not how I gain everyone's approval. When that inner force grew strong, the comments, good or bad, no longer dictated his path. He returned to the stage, not for applause, but because he loved to play. And something strange happened. That steadiness made his music touch even more people. When you know who you are beyond all labels, you no longer live in fear when someone leaves, when work changes, or when social media stops applauding you. You become the steady center of yourself, and it is this steadiness that sets you free. Think of a recent compliment or criticism that shook you. If you could detach from it now, what would you tell yourself? Share it in the comments to inspire those going through something similar. Secret 4. Make peace with the shadow. Escaping others' definitions doesn't mean you're free. In fact, that's when you realize the real challenge isn't the outer noise, but the echoes inside you, where memories, fears, and parts of yourself you've avoided reside. To move forward, you must dare to step into the shadow, the place few dare to touch, yet where the key to true freedom is hidden. Have you ever wondered why a seemingly harmless comment can keep you up all night? Recall the last time you overreacted to something said. Maybe someone casually remarked, "You never do anything right." Or perhaps a friend simply forgot a plan, and you instantly felt abandoned. The fascinating thing is, if you look closely, those comments or acts aren't always enough to hurt. For others, they're like a passing breeze. So why, for you, do they feel like a dagger to the heart? Carl Jung called the answer to this phenomenon the shadow, the darkness within each person. The shadow consists of parts of us we don't want to face, memories, traits, fears, or feelings we learn to reject. Maybe you grew up in a family that prized achievement, so deep down you carry a fear of being seen as useless. Or maybe you were abandoned as a child, and now any sign of neglect, no matter how small, revives that fear. When these parts remain unacknowledged, they act like hidden, emotional weak spots. Others only need to accidentally brush against them, a remark, a tone, and you find yourself reacting fiercely, with anger, defensiveness, or retreating into pain. Not because they truly hurt you, but because they've awoken what you've never dared face. Imagine you're carrying an invisible bag on your back, stuffed with stones collected over time. Each one represents a hurtful memory, a negative belief you once adopted, a part of yourself you couldn't face. Every time someone says something that resembles the contents of that bag, like "you're not good enough," "you're abandoned," "you're unlovable," they perhaps fear of abandonment, anger you never dared express, or feelings of unworthiness sitting before you, like an old friend returning after years apart. Instead of shunning or judging it, ask a few gentle questions. What are you trying to tell me? Is there a truth I haven't admitted yet? What am I afraid of when this feeling shows up? Don't rush for the right answers. Let the responses come naturally, sometimes in words, sometimes as images, sometimes just as sensations. Write them down as if you're recording the words of a friend. When you give the shadow a chance to speak, you'll realize most of the fear or anger isn't an enemy, but abandoned parts waiting for you to return and listen. As you practice, you'll find that things which once made you so sensitive gradually lose their grip. Someone might say something that touches an old memory, but instead of spiraling into an intense reaction, you can take a deep breath and think, "Ah, this is an old wound resurfacing. It is not the truth about me." And in that moment, you reclaim your emotional sovereignty, because no one but you can define who you are. Making peace with your inner shadow frees you from old wounds. But there's another wave you must learn to recognize, not from memory, but from the present. The moods, energies and chaos you unconsciously absorb from the world around you. And that's where the fifth secret begins. Secret 5. Develop emotional sovereignty. There's something most people never realize, yet it shapes nearly all our daily emotional experiences. Much of what we feel, stress, restlessness, heaviness, even joy or excitement, does not fully belong to us. Humans are naturally, emotionally attuned creatures, like invisible antennas constantly picking up moods from our environment without even realizing it. Carl Jung once described the psyche as a connected field of energy, where emotions don't just exist within individuals, but spread and transmit through eye contact, tone, gestures, and even the seemingly invisible atmosphere of a room. If you've ever walked into a meeting and instantly felt tension, even though no one said a word, or found your mood sinking just because a friend started complaining about life, you've experienced what psychologists call emotional contagion. It's not strange or abnormal. It's a biological and social mechanism that once helped humans survive. In prehistoric times, sensing others' states was a survival advantage. If one tribe member panicked at a predator, the whole group would sense and react, ensuring survival. But in modern society, this same mechanism, if unrecognized and unmanaged, makes us lose what Jung called emotional sovereignty, the ability to be the sole regulator and guide of our inner state. Without emotional sovereignty, we're like a mirror left in the marketplace. The crowd laughs, we laugh. They rage, we rage. The environment is tense, and we suffocate along with it. Each morning, our mood is like a blank board, and anyone passing by can scroll across it. We gradually forget which emotions are truly ours and which are merely absorbed from others. The result is exhaustion without knowing why, living like a boat tossed by waves, forgetting that we can steer it ourselves. Jung believed that a crucial part of individuation, the journey of becoming a mature, inwardly solid human, is learning to hold and manage your emotional energy. This doesn't mean becoming numb, building walls, or cutting yourself off from the world. On the contrary, it means learning to calmly discern. Is this emotion really mine, or am I carrying it from someone else? That single question, if practiced regularly, can change how you move through each day. Because once you see that much of what you feel doesn't originate within you, you gain a choice to keep it or to put it down. Picture a familiar scene. You enter the office in the morning, still light-hearted from a good night's sleep. But your co-worker, having just received bad news, brings a dark cloud into the room. They sigh, shake their head, and the atmosphere grows heavy. If you're unaware, within minutes, you too feel restless, your mood sinking without knowing why. The whole day feels draining, even though nothing personal is wrong. That's emotional contagion at work. And if you don't separate yourself, you carry that mood home, as if it always belonged to you. Carl Jung once used a metaphor for this. He compared the individual psyche to a stream flowing through a plain. The water may be clear, it may be murky, but when it merges with other streams, when we engage with our environment, with groups, its quality shifts without our awareness. Jung wrote, "A mind that is not aware of its own nature will dissolve in the streams of others until it no longer knows which waters are its own." In other words, without discernment, we are swept away by the emotional energies of crowds, families, and friends, losing our own inner core. erode their mental health, and they can walk through a noisy, ever-changing world with a mind that remains a clear sky. When you reach emotional sovereignty, you don't become detached or numb. On the contrary, you connect more deeply because you approach others not from lack or fear, but from a state of fullness and agency. And it is precisely this that makes you nearly untouchable emotionally. Not because the world suddenly becomes peaceful, but because you're no longer a mirror reflecting every wave around you. You become the one at the helm, choosing your current, steering the boat of your inner life where you wish it to go. And so, our journey nears its end. Of the 5 secrets we've explored, which made you pause and reflect the most? There will come a moment, after all these storms and lessons, when you realize true steadiness isn't about avoiding or winning every battle out there, but about being able to stand still within yourself, even as everything around you shifts. In that moment, you no longer live to prove anything to the world, nor do you fear when things don't go as planned. Emotions come and go, but you are no longer swept away by them. You are fully present, needing neither armor nor attachment. And from that state, a new kind of freedom begins. Not the fragile, conditional kind, but a solid foundation, where peace becomes your choice, no matter the circumstances. What about you? Have you ever experienced a moment when you truly felt this steadiness? Share a story, a thought, or a moment when you discovered this strength in the comments below. Perhaps your story will be the key that helps someone else find the stillness they've been searching for all along. We grow up believing that men fall for beauty, intelligence, wit, or a touch of timely mystery. But the truth is, what makes a man truly love, truly commit, isn't found in what you display outwardly, but in how you make him feel about himself when he's with you. Carl Jung once said that people are driven not only by what they desire, but by the incomplete image within them, the one they endlessly strive for, but can never fully grasp. And when you become the mirror, reflecting their best possible self, true love begins to take root. This isn't the art of seduction. This is the psychology of profound connection. So, how do you wisely touch the masculine ego without manipulation, without sacrificing yourself? In today's video, we'll explore 7 profound principles rooted in Jung's philosophy that will not only help you capture his heart, but also awaken the man he's always longed to become. As usual, I have a small challenge for you. Watch the video to the end if you're truly serious about your journey of personal growth. Leave a comment saying, "I accept the challenge," or simply, "Challenge accepted," to join us as we dive into the first part of today's video. Number 1. Nurture pride, not vanity. There's a subtle misunderstanding, one potent enough to derail an entire relationship, that many women fall into when trying to impress a man. They believe sweet, charming compliments are the key to his heart. And it's true, men enjoy praise. Who doesn't feel moved by recognition? But if what you awaken is merely his surface ego, what you'll receive in return is only a fleeting glance, not a deep, lasting bond. Carl Jung once said, Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. A man may be captivated by your appearance, but he's only truly drawn in when you make him see himself, not with ostentation, but by evoking the latent identity within him. The difference between vanity and pride is like the difference between the flash of a camera and the smoldering fire beneath the earth. A flash dazzles, grabs attention for a moment, then fades. But that quiet flame, though unassuming, has the power to warm an entire space, enduring, profound, and lasting. Compliments like, "You have such captivating eyes," or "That shirt looks great on you," are like summer hits, catchy, forgettable, replaceable. But a statement that touches the deep pride within a man is different. It's like handing him a unique mirror, not reflecting his present self, but the image of a higher version he's always secretly wondered if he could become. A man doesn't love you because you see what everyone else sees. He loves you when you see something he isn't even sure exists within himself. Imagine a young man struggling in his career, not yet successful, but refusing to give up. He hears plenty of hollow encouragements. "Keep going, it'll work out," or "Good luck." But one day you look him in the eye, no pity, no platitudes, and say, "I see something in the way you think, something that transcends your current circumstances." It's like your mind is operating on a level the world around you hasn't caught up to yet. That brief statement strikes at the core of his ego, making him feel not just heard, but understood to his very bones. It's an affirmation not for the loud ego, but for the quiet one screaming to be validated. Here's the crux. Vanity is something anyone can offer, but pride is something only a person of depth can ignite. Vanity thrives on comparison. "You're more handsome than that guy. You're smarter than my friend." But pride thrives on affirming core values, without needing to measure against others. It says, "You are remarkable, not because you're better than someone else, but because of the way you exist." In Jung's analytical psychology, the ego is the conscious self, and every action, reaction, and decision flows from it. But that ego constantly craves validation, not just "I exist," but "I am valuable, I am evolving." When you say something that hits that axis of value, you don't just make him feel better, you make him believe he's worthy of the image he's never dared fully embrace. This doesn't mean lying to flatter. On the contrary, you must observe deeply, listen carefully, and speak the truth. A woman who sees the potential energy beneath a man's surface, that's an irresistible force. It's like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, they highlight them, because those cracks tell the story and value of the piece. You too don't need to praise him as perfect. You just need to recognize and highlight the golden cracks in his character, things he thought were flaws, but you see as unique. A man may fall in love with many, but he only truly commits to the one who makes him feel like a higher version of himself. And it begins with a look, a word, a moment when you make his ego feel, "She sees me." Not the outer shell, but the part I haven't dared to show. Carl Jung once said, "We are not what happened to us, we are what we choose to become." And when you're the first to reflect what he chooses to become, even if it's still vague, you plant a seed no one else can replicate. Number 2, let him conquer you, but make it worthy. But for that seed to grow into a lasting bond, it needs something else. a challenge, not a game, but a journey he must embark on if he wants to truly reach you. Because the masculine ego doesn't just thrive on recognition, it blossoms in the feeling of triumph. He needs to feel he's won you, not because you're difficult, but because you symbolize something higher, deeper, not easily possessed. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." In the context of love, this means true connection doesn't come from what's comfortable or easily attained, but from what forces a man to rise to be worthy. You don't need to build walls, but you shouldn't leave the gate wide open either. Just enough distance, a touch of uncertainty, and moments when you choose to step back, not to evade, but to give him the chance to step forward on his own. That's where love matures. Imagine standing in a forest. A beautiful flower grows by the path. You bend down and pick it without thinking. It's lovely, but not special. But if a rare flower blooms atop a cliff, to reach it, you must climb, sweat, and strive. When you finally hold it, it's not just a gift. It's part of a journey you'll never forget. Have you ever felt like that flower, plucked too quickly, then forgotten too soon? If you've experienced this, share that feeling. Fingers in the heart. In love, pauses are part of the dance. And the most important thing, you don't create distance to punish. You do it so he feels you're a prize of value. Something not just anyone can claim, not because you're hard to get, but because you have your world, and you choose who's invited in. True love doesn't make a man feel he has you. True love makes him feel he's worthy of you. And that feeling is what keeps him anchored long after the initial spark fades. You don't need to play games, pretend to be busy, or act aloof. Just live authentically in your values. Don't reply to a message when your heart isn't ready. Don't nod to half-hearted promises. Don't fear creating a little space, because sometimes what awakens the ego is the echo of distance. And when he begins to change, not because he's pressured, but because he wants to be worthy of you, that's when the real journey of growth begins. But to keep that journey from stalling at the conquest, you need to reach deeper, to the part even he hasn't fully defined, the ideal self. Number 3, reflecting the ideal self, the archetype he aspires to become. Carl Jung called it the ideal self, the idealized image each person carries in their unconscious, an unformed entity that lingers like a faint flame in the darkness. For men, this ideal self often takes the form of someone strong, commanding, successful, admired, yet possessing depth and inner direction. It is what he yearns to become, though he may not dare voice it aloud. The intriguing truth is this: very few people truly see that version of him. Most only respond to what he outwardly projects, his job, his manner of speech, or the persona he constructs. But the person he cannot forget is the one who reflects what he has not yet become, but secretly longs to be. Not because she embellishes or flatters, but because she perceives a version of him that no one else has named. Imagine a man standing at a career crossroads, outwardly strong, but inwardly riddled with doubt. An ordinary woman might ask, "What are you going to do next?" But a woman who truly grasps the essence of the ideal self looks deeper and says, "I feel like you were made for something greater. Not just a job, but a legacy. It's as if you haven't yet found the right stage to shine." Those words, when born of genuine intuition, are not mere praise. They are an awakening. He doesn't just feel understood, he feels seen in a way he had forgotten. In that moment, you cease to be just a woman in his eyes. You become a sacred mirror, reflecting the image he is willing to evolve toward. Jung once said, "Thinking is difficult, that's why most people judge." Thus, when you are the first to see his untapped potential, your gaze becomes a map guiding his inner journey of growth. This is why, for some women, a man may transform his entire life, not because they control him, but because they see themselves more clearly in her presence. But here lies a crucial point. You must not mistake yourself for the changer of men. This is not about salvation. You are neither his guide nor his teacher. You are simply the one who sees, without judgment, without pressure, without embellishment, only seeing and believing. That presence holds more power than any argument. You must become the person who makes him feel, "She sees this in me, so I want to believe it's true." Not because you need him to change, but because you naturally believe it exists. And the male ego, forever caught between doubt and affirmation, will cling to that gaze as a psychological anchor. What's remarkable is this: when you awaken the ideal self within him, every moment he spends with you carries the feeling of, "I am closer to the person I want to become." That is the most addictive sensation for the ego. Not possessing you, but becoming a better version of himself with you by his side. True love is not merely closeness, it is transformation. And a wise woman does not create transformation through sacrifice or control, but through rightful presence, timely words, and a gaze deep enough to pierce the surface. You don't need florid language. Sometimes a simple sentence born of intuition and keen observation is enough to stir a restless ego lost in silence. When you speak, don't speak to the present, speak to the potential. Don't merely affirm who he is now. Call forth the version of him that is budding, but which he hasn't yet dared to acknowledge. For when a man loves, not only because of who you are, but because of who he becomes in your presence, that love does not easily fade. It is tied to his deepest self, to his most secret dreams, and to the belief that you are part of his journey toward fulfillment. Number 4, challenging with respect. Yet, no inner growth occurs without conflict. But with respect. This is an art, a delicate thread between igniting potential and triggering defensiveness. Like a skilled teacher who doesn't instruct through reprimand, but through faith that the student will go further, if awakened rightly. To do this, you must see him not only with loving eyes, but with the eyes of someone who believes in evolution. You don't challenge him because he disappoints you. You challenge him because you know something greater awaits him. Remember, men live under the pressure to be okay. They are rarely allowed to doubt, rarely permitted to show insecurity. Beneath the sturdy exterior is a silent dialogue with themselves. Am I good enough? Am I on the right path? Most of the time, he pushes through, not out of strength, but to avoid being seen as unprepared. Thus, when you are the first to see that inner struggle without judgment and pose questions that make him think without wounding him, you create a rare space, a space for psychological growth. This is not indulgence, nor is it suppression. It is an awakening through a profound gaze. You challenge him not to control him, but to see him surpass himself. And when this resonates, the man begins to tie his personal growth to your presence. That is the kind of love that keeps him from leaving, not because you always make him feel good, but because you are the only one who makes him feel he can be better. And that, to the male ego, is 1,000 times more compelling than praise or pampering. Carl Jung once said, "A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them." If you are the one who dares to walk beside him in that inferno, not to lead the way, but to hold the light for him to find his path, you become part of his awakening journey. Number 5. Empowering the role of the protector. When you are the one who makes him confront his limits while still feeling respected, you do not merely touch his ego. You delve into what Jung called the heart of the individuation process, where the self is no longer shielded, but begins to transform. And at this intersection of vulnerability and potential, an ancient archetype in the male psyche begins to stir: the protector. In the collective unconscious, a central concept in Jung's analytical psychology, there exist primal patterns called archetypes. These are vivid, timeless symbols that shape behavior, dreams, and the deepest layers of human identity. For men, one of the most powerful archetypes is the hero or the protector, the figure who stands between the world and danger, not merely to fight, but to safeguard what is sacred. Yet, crucially, this archetype does not awaken unless there is something worth protecting. Herein lies the mistake of many modern women. In striving to prove they need no one, they inadvertently strip away the most instinctual role a man yearns to embody. They believe that absolute independence earns respect. But psychology reveals the opposite. A truly strong woman is one secure enough to create space for another's strength to coexist alongside her own. Empowering the protector does not mean becoming weak, dependent, or feigning helplessness. It is about allowing him to step into a role deeply meaningful to the male ego without diminishing you. Instead of saying, "I can handle everything, I don't need anyone," you might choose to say, "I feel secure when you're here." It's simple, not because you cannot stand on your own, but because his presence makes you stronger. This is how you grant power without surrendering your own. In practice, this can begin with details so subtle they are often overlooked. Asking his opinion on a matter you've already considered, not because you're clueless, but because you want to give him space to lead. Letting him open a jar, fix a loose chair, or remind you to bring a jacket when it's cold, not because you can't, but because it allows him to express his archetypal instinct healthily. Jung once said, "When an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside, as fate." This means a man must recognize his protective instinct within himself to avoid being blindly driven by it, and you can help him become conscious of it by letting him be himself. In love, what binds a man is not the feeling of being served, but the sense that he is serving something meaningful. When you allow him to become the protector, not through pleading, but through acknowledgement, you grant him the sacred role his unconscious has always craved. This is especially true for men who seem cold or indifferent. Often, it's not that they don't care, but that they cannot find a clear place in your inner world. A man unable to express his role will gradually detach emotionally. But if you create just enough space, not for weakness to creep in, but for him to step forward with his strength, the connection between you is forged not just by emotion, but by existential meaning. Deep love does not come from proving you need no one, but from daring to let someone worthy take part in your already complete world. But from distance, opposition, and separation. In love, this manifests when two individuals do not merge into one another, but create timely distance to become clearer in each other's eyes. A man only realizes his true emotions when he steps out of the familiar warmth. When you are always there, texting first, replying quickly, ever present, you become the backdrop of his life. He no longer sees you clearly, not because you fade, but because constant light blinds the eyes. But when you withdraw, not with anger or sulking, but with elegant silence, you create enough darkness for him to recognize who shines in his life. In psychology, the mechanism of perceiving loss is always stronger than that of perceiving presence. We only truly value something when it is no longer within reach. Yet women often fear creating distance, worried that he'll forget me. In truth, it is when you are always there that he takes your presence for granted. But when you step back, silently, with dignity and without demands, you make his ego confront loss for the first time. And if you have already touched his pride, ideals, potential, and protective role, then your absence is not merely the lack of a person. It is the lack of a part of his definition. He doesn't just miss you, he misses the person he becomes in your presence. If what you're hearing now makes you realize you've been that resonant absence in someone's life, leave a sign to let us know you're here, a like, a subscription, a way to say, I've understood this with my whole heart. After all the longing, pursuit, and distance, what makes a man deeply attached is not what makes him feel strong, but where he is allowed to be vulnerable without losing his worth. Number 7, a place where he can unmask and still be loved. The deepest point of love is where the ego is no longer propped up, but allowed to rest. Carl Jung once said, "The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. Within every person, even the seemingly strongest, most independent and confident men, there exists a hidden part, the shadow. It is the place where repressed emotions, nameless fears, and unacknowledged wounds reside. Society trains men to control, to be steadfast, to succeed. But the cost of maintaining this facade is inner isolation. And then they love. But not every love reaches that depth. Many relationships only touch the best parts: success, confidence, intelligence, and strength. Rarely does someone feel safe enough to step into the darkness without making him recoil in fear of judgment. This is why the woman who truly binds a man is not the most talented, the most beautiful, or the one who makes him strive the hardest. It is the one who first makes him feel, "I can take off my mask and still be loved." Imagine a warrior returning from battle. Sweat, blood, and exhaustion cling to his body. He doesn't need admiration, nor does he need immediate healing. What he needs is a place to shed his armor without being met with pity or fear. A woman who becomes that place does so not with grandiose words, but with a non-judgmental presence. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is an inseparable part of the psyche. It is not evil, it is merely neglected. And the individuation process cannot be complete without daring to face and embrace the shadow. For men, this is even harder, as their shadow is often buried under societal expectations. Men must not be weak. They must know what they want. They must always be strong. Thus, when a man finds a woman who can see him in his most fragile moment and does not retreat, that is a love his ego cannot deny. Picture an ordinary moment, a weekend evening when the man you love returns after a long day. No major event has occurred, but you sense the weight in his steps, the familiar spark absent from his eyes. He opens the fridge, grabs a beer, slumps onto the couch, and says nothing. You ask, "Are you okay?" He nods faintly, his gaze lost in the void. A common reaction for many women is excessive worry. "You're making me anxious, acting like this. Tell me what's wrong." But if you understand what's happening within him, you'll know this is not the time to question or analyze. This is a moment when a man is wrestling with his inner darkness, and the only thing he needs is your presence without interrogation. Healing does not begin with offering advice, but with creating a safe space where the ego can stop straining. And that is the art of a woman who understands deeply. To love is not to possess, but to allow the other to be themselves, even when that self is not pretty. Love endures not through moments of joy, but through moments when you see the other broken and you don't run. That is the kind of connection that resonates in the deepest layers of the soul. It is when a man, after everything, can say, "I fell before her, and she didn't see me as weak. She still valued a lake. If you lean forward, frantically scooping water with your hands, you disturb the surface and your reflection vanishes. But if you stand still, letting the water settle, your image appears clearly. Attraction works similarly. The more you try to grasp it, the more it slips away. But when you hold your inner core steady and let others approach, they don't just see you. They see a profound reflection of themselves in you. That's where true connection begins. Jung called this the paradox of the shadow. When you stop chasing light, the darkness reveals your true essence. Detachment is a courageous step, daring to leave the door open, not forcing anyone to stay, not clinging, and not shrinking in fear of abandonment. You trust that if someone resonates with your frequency, they'll find you without you chasing them. A woman once ruled by fear might think, if I don't take the lead, he'll forget me. But a woman who knows her worth smiles and thinks, if I must constantly act to keep someone, I'm nurturing an illusion, not a true bond. In that deliberate step back, she preserves both her value and her allure. If you've ever stood at that crossroads between yearning to be loved and the exhaustion of maintaining love at all costs, share your story with us. Don't hesitate to leave a comment, as your story might be a beacon for someone else lost in similar shadows. So, how do you truly embrace detachment? Not as a cold facade, but as an anchored inner peace that needs no control. Here are practical practices to begin building the roots of emotional freedom. Practice 1. Say no without explanation. This is an act of reclaiming your energy's sovereignty. Say no, not out of rejection or anger, but because you know what nourishes you and what depletes you. Start by recognizing your reflex to over-explain. When you're about to say no, pause, take a deep breath, and respond more briefly than intended. Then, stay silent. Don't fill the silence. Begin with small things: invitations, favors, unspoken expectations. Each no is a step out of the role of people pleaser. Observe the guilt that arises, then let it pass. It will come, but not to control you, only to show you're choosing what aligns with you, even if it feels unfamiliar. Practice 2. Build an inner sanctuary. Carve out time each day just for you. It could be 15 minutes in the morning, sitting quietly with tea, no phone, no music, no rush. Or writing in a journal before bed, not about others, but to hear where your soul wandered that day. Or a walk alone, no earphones, no busyness, just feeling your existence without needing validation from the world. Psychologically, this pulls your energy back to your center. It's not just self-care in the common sense, but a deliberate re-establishment of energy boundaries between you and the world. This inner sanctuary is the blank space on the canvas of your soul. No words, no messages, but the space where what truly matters emerges. Number 3. Habit 3. Style as the expression of the soul. If detachment is the art of preserving oneself within connections, then style is how you present that self to the world without uttering a word. When a woman no longer lives to please others, she begins to wear what makes her feel at ease with herself. In that moment, she does not just clothing, but her soul steps into the open. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Style is not about choosing a dress or coordinating colors. It's about whether you dare to live true to the deepest essence within you. A woman who has journeyed through individuation doesn't dress to impress. She dresses to mark her spiritual territory. This is me. No pretense, no borrowing, no permission needed. Like dreams, where Jung believed the unconscious speaks to us through symbols, style is a non-verbal language of the soul. The dress you choose, the way you tie your hair, the scent you carry. All are vivid symbols, conveying an invisible message. Where are you on your journey of self-understanding? Jung believed each person carries a dominant archetype, and when you dress in alignment with that archetype, you no longer merely wear clothes, you become a living embodiment of it. If you carry the energy of the Queen, you'll gravitate toward minimalist elegance, clean lines, and substantial fabrics. If you're the Wild Woman, you'll resonate with raw wool, earthy tones, and materials that breathe with nature. If you're the Sage, you might favor neutral hues and timeless pieces with depth over fleeting trends. Look at your wardrobe, not through the lens of fashion, but through the lens of psychology. How many items make you feel truly yourself, and how many were bought to fit others' eyes? If each piece is a word, then your style is the story you tell about yourself every day, before you even form, because it's not just physically comfortable, but resonates with your inner energy's frequency. When the world feels chaotic, when you're unsure of yourself, return to this uniform as an anchor. When your body feels safe, your soul breathes easier. Practice 2. Instead of shopping to fill a void, choose each item like a word in your autobiography. The next time you're about to buy a dress, a lipstick, or a pair of earrings, pause and ask, what does this item say about me? If the answer is, to make others see me as trendy, don't buy it. But if the answer is, I feel more myself wearing it, buy it. Style is a language, and each item you choose either clarifies your voice or drowns it in society's noise. Build your wardrobe like a personal library, where every piece has depth, history, and a reason for existing. Practice 3. Choose a scent as your soul's signature. Select a fragrance that others associate with you through emotion, even without seeing you. In psychology, the sense of smell is deeply tied to memory and emotion. A scent can transport us to childhood, an old summer, or the feeling of someone who once passed through our lives with a single breath. So why not choose a scent to become your emotional emblem? Pick a perfume that, when spritzed on your wrist, brings you back to the deepest part of yourself. It might be the warm spice of sandalwood, like damp earth after rain, or the bright burst of bergamot, like your spirit awakening each morning. Use it daily and consistently, not just for special occasions. Every time you prepare to step out into the world, let that scent precede you. One day, when you're not there and someone passes a familiar fragrance, they'll pause, and in that moment, you'll appear, not as an image, but as an ineffable, vivid emotion. Do these practices resonate with you? Share your thoughts and feedback. We're always listening and eager to know what in your style makes you feel most yourself. Your stories are living inspiration for this journey to continue. Number 4. Habit 4. Feminine energy. If style is the story your soul tells the world through visuals, then feminine energy is the silent melody woven into every gesture, glance, and pause, an intangible force that lingers unforgettable in others' minds. A woman with a distinct style commands attention, but a woman imbued with deep feminine energy makes others want to stay. Carl Jung once said, "The anima is the archetype of life itself." The anima, the feminine archetype within every human, is the embodiment of softness, receptivity, sacredness, and vibrant vitality. When a woman is disconnected from her anima, she may achieve success, sharpness, or independence, but something remains missing. Not a man, but the ability to radiate life-giving energy, the kind that not only sustains her, but nourishes the space around her through her mere presence. In a modern world that glorifies masculine traits, logic, control, speed, and efficiency, many women believe that to be recognized, they must be stronger, more rational, and more controlling until they become depleted. Not because they lack capability, but because they've betrayed their natural biological and spiritual rhythm. Feminine energy is not weakness. It is a powerful receptive force, like the ocean embracing every river, or the moon guiding the tides without a sound. A feminine woman doesn't need to argue to be heard. She doesn't need to compete for a place. She attracts, not through effort, but through letting go at the right moment. From a psychological perspective, feminine energy aligns with the parasympathetic state, the nervous system's mode of rest and restoration. It soothes, heals, and connects. A woman in this energy makes others feel safe, softened, and open. While masculine energy pushes outward to conquer, feminine energy pulls inward to attract. When a woman truly steps into this energy, she doesn't need to rush to lead. The world adjusts its pace to follow her. Imagine a lotus flower in a still lake. It doesn't move. It doesn't beckon. Yet dragonflies, sunlight, and breezes are drawn to it naturally. Because it doesn't try to be anything else. It blooms, and the world responds. A woman who follows our channel once shared. She used to take charge in every relationship, planning outings, steering emotions, even teaching her partner how to love her. She thought proactivity was a strength. But after several dates, the pattern repeated. Her partners grew distant, indifferent, always withdrawing with the same excuse. "I feel suffocated." She realized she wasn't giving others a chance to show up, to give. By controlling to avoid hurt, she inadvertently stifled the natural drive of connection, voluntariness, anticipation, and the space for longing. Carl Jung said psychological growth is the reconciliation of opposites within, light and shadow. Freedom doesn't come from escaping others. It comes from no longer binding yourself to old expectations. A free woman can be in a relationship without dissolving into it. She can be a mother without losing the woman within. She can work in a team without needing anyone to affirm her competence. She doesn't try to be special. It's her inner calm that makes her special without effort. So, you want to nurture this freedom and independence, do you? Start, however small, with a freedom fund, not just for security, but to send a clear inner message. I can walk away if it no longer fits. This could be a personal savings account, a side income, or a monthly sum set aside for something you want. Money isn't the root of freedom, but it's a tool that ensures you don't have to depend on anyone, allowing you to leave a job, relationship, or identity that no longer serves you. Next, make choices without seeking opinions. This may seem minor, but it's crucial for establishing autonomy. From simple decisions like choosing a meal you truly want, signing up for a class out of curiosity, or going somewhere alone, each self-made choice strengthens the bond with your inner voice. An independent woman isn't someone who needs no one. She knows what's right for her, even if no one agrees. Freedom and independence aren't destinations. They're a way of being. A woman who embodies this doesn't get swept into the world. She sets its rhythm. When she enters, people don't ask, "Who is she?" but think, "I don't want to leave her presence." That's the mark of a woman who lives fully for herself, making her irreplaceable. You don't need to become someone else. You only need to peel away the layers of dust life has placed upon you. With each layer removed, your essence shines through, not blinding, but steady, like the quiet glow beneath emotional bedrock. A light that doesn't just reveal you, but helps others see themselves more clearly in your presence. Carl Jung didn't teach us how to shine. He showed us the path to becoming ourselves. And on that path, no allure is more enduring than that of a soul reconciled with itself. If this video has made you see yourself from a new angle, if it's helped you realize there's something in you that needs no explanation or proof, don't leave. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications today to join us on this journey in future videos.